This week in Teams, we talk with Amanda Sterner from Stockholm about the many features and enhancements of Microsoft Teams meetings and how they've greatly improved our ability to support a work-from-home environment. My silliness here, and good morning. It is an early Friday, the 5th of February for us. I'm here with Craig Jahnke as usual, and not as usual, we have a new guest, Amanda Sterner. Amanda, welcome to This Week in Teams.
Thank you. It's nice to be here and have this conversation with you.
Yeah, we really appreciate you taking the time out of the day, coming all the way from Sweden. So that's impressive. We're going international with this episode, yeah. So it's a big deal for us. How are things in Sweden?
Amanda, I work for AvePoint Public Sector. Craig works for Microsoft. Would you like to tell us a little bit about what you do when you're not spending time with people like us?
Yeah, I'm working for a Swedish consultancy firm called Avega. Where I'm working as a modern workplace specialist. And when people ask me, what do you do during the daytime? What do you work with? I always had a hard time describing what I do. And I say everything Microsoft 365. I enjoy all bits and pieces besides coding. But recently I just took the Power Platform Fundamentals search. Wow. And I'm like, maybe I should be a citizen developer. So we'll see. maybe I'll remove the everything besides coding part. We'll see. So yeah.
It can get exciting once you start playing with it. You're going, I can do this and I can do that, and then I spend an hour or two searching the internet and go, oh yeah, that's how you do that. So sometimes you end up in the little rabbit holes of, but it becomes fun. Thank you for coming. So just touch on how digital specialists, how did you get into that? Because I know the conversations, I started with SharePoint, right? And it's always, I was doing development work and then you just kind of fall into SharePoint because nobody wants to touch it. And then that's how I graduated into Office 365 and doing that kind of things. How did you get into your position and your love of Office 365?
That's nice to hear that you're a SharePoint guy, since a lot of my community friends that I usually talk with, everybody's from the Skype part of this world. And I'm also from the SharePoint side. So nice. I started working with CRM, Microsoft CRM, right. Since my husband, he's working with AX, or now Dynamics 365, and he had a good time at work. So I thought, I can do the same thing. Let's do that. So I started working with CRM, but there were no projects, and I ended up working with SharePoint and loving it. So yeah, it's just a big coincidence. I tried working with outside of the Microsoft world for a year just to feel the vibe and see if I really enjoy what I do, and I missed it a lot. So yeah, I really enjoyed this nice thing to work with, and yeah.
So. That's cool. Yeah, I've been in IT for a little over 20 years now, and I only just over the last 5 years became fully engrossed in the Microsoft stack. SharePoint has always been one of many tools for me. As a consultant, as a project manager, previously to that, as a software vendor, SharePoint was something we integrated with, but it was never the focus for me. And over the last 5 years at AvePoint, it's really been my focus, the Microsoft stack. And it's a lot of fun. There's just so much you can do with the power of SharePoint, and now with M365 in total. I agree with you. I just every time someone's like, oh, SharePoint, I'm like, no, let's talk about it. Let's really, it's a good place.
What I like a lot about, so it's great, got a lot of things. We're going to talk about some of the newer features and stuff that people play with, but the community in and of itself around SharePoint and Microsoft Teams and the Power Platform we were talking a little bit offline about, is just awesome to work with. Like if you need help, right, you can go on Twitter, you can go on a support forum, you can just reach out to people and they're more than happy to help you. I've been in other technologies where it's like you have to know a certain point and prove yourself before anybody will talk to you. And I just like the community. So I don't know where I'm going with that, but let's go roll into Teams and what we're here for.
So the goal of today, other than to talk to you, is to talk about Microsoft Teams meetings. So Craig and I have done a little bit on meetings and live meetings in the past, and there's a lot of increased focus this year on getting people to use Microsoft Teams meetings specifically. And I think they have seen a lot of growth over the last year with the work from home boom and the pandemic. But the changes to the interface over that year have actually been pretty drastic. When you first log into a meeting, the new meeting screen showing you right up front, what's your video look like? What hardware options are you using? Do you have a background screen, maybe one that cuts your shoulders off every once in a while? That right there was a massive change. Even though it felt like this little thing, it greatly increased the user experience. Amanda, what's some of your favorite features and recent enhancements to the meetings platform?
I mean, something that's hard not to talk about when you're talking about meetings is the breakout rooms. Since March, I think, I don't know how many people I heard talking about these breakout rooms. In every scenario, every situation, the breakout rooms have been there. I wrote a blog post for the Microsoft Tech community. I think it was in June, about how to fake breakout rooms.
Yes.
And I don't know, that blog post has been extremely popular because everybody has been screaming for that feature. So when it finally came in December, a lot of people were happy. So,
yeah, Craig, you did an episode, a small video too, on how to fake breakout rooms.
Yeah, basically, you just create other side chats, right? And just the way I did it, and then was just put people on hold and switch between them. So, but there's a couple different ways to do it. But yeah, everybody's been screaming for that since almost day one. How do I set some people aside and do a conference? Unfortunately for me, as I haven't had the opportunity to use it since that rolled out. So.
I used it once actually, and that was a good experience. But we'll see how much people will use it when we get back to the office.
I see it more in the education space and for people doing like conferences and stuff like that. So that should be cool. But so tell us about what else you like in Teams and Teams meeting features.
Another thing that I really enjoyed, that's a really small thing, and I often say that it's the small things that makes the magic, and that's the little bar that says you have 5 minutes left of your meeting.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but at my current client, I actually don't have that much meetings. I have like a normal amount of meetings, but some of my coworkers, they have meetings nonstop all day.
All day.
And when one meeting gets long, it just gets bad. So I really like that small thing to remind you of, okay, time to stop.
Well, what's weird is people seem to respect it too. Like, oh, everybody goes, oh, hey, we got 5 minutes left. It's not like, oh, well, we're going to talk for another 10. So I do like the fact that it puts it up there and people actually go, oh, yeah, 5 minutes. Let's get done. Let's get out of here.
As somebody who is in back-to-back meetings all day long, like I almost dread going back to in-person meetings because that feature won't be there. I can't wait for that to become something that someone's selling for, like in-room, like an in-room light that just pops up and reminds people that, hey, meeting's almost over.
Well, you need to have your meetings in team rooms in
there we
your
go.
offices.
Yes.
So you got to get those configured so you can have that whole experience, and then you can have a hybrid meeting where you have some people involved and some people live and some people.
And you got to wonder what it's like to be on the Teams Rooms team, like in Microsoft, because you could tell they had a lot going on and they were ready to release a lot of stuff over the last year. And then nobody was in the office to actually use the technology. Like, it's got to be such a bummer.
Yeah, but I think that they will have like a large increase of usage now, since people are realizing that you really need to have the office working for the hybrid meetings. Since
yes,
I don't know, it will probably never be as it was before, and I think that's nice. I mean, I've always been working from home a lot since I enjoy working in my pajamas, but but I mean,
yes.
this has been a huge change for many organizations. Like I said, my customer at the moment, they've been sort of allowed to work from home if
Right.
you had like waiting for a package. And if you're working from home, nobody scheduled meetings with you because that was hard. And now everybody's working from home, and that must be at least a nice thing about this pandemic, that companies that have been scared before seeing that it is working. People can actually do their work from home. So yeah, interesting times.
That is very true. Yeah, I went into an office yesterday, one of my customers, for badging and fingerprints and stuff. But most of my customers are government, US government, and they were the same way. They didn't want to work from home before, and now they're Teams meetings experts. They're using, I have customers who are using Outlook to make meetings end 5 or 10 minutes early. The escort, the person that was walking me around the building yesterday, had 2 phones that he was running meetings off of while walking me around the building. I'm like, this is a very different world than what we used to have.
It sure is.
Yeah. So you said the little features, and I can't agree with you more. During our prep conversations, you mentioned the reactions. It first started with the simple hand raise that I think our tenant still has, and coming, not quite general availability yet. There's many more reactions coming, and they're great, right? They let people kind of react to what's happening without having to unmute or type in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, if you watched Ignite, I mean, I guess you did, but if your audience watched Ignite, at some sessions they had the live reactions where you could add the hearts, and I think it was thumbs up and maybe a smiley face. So they're adding that to meetings as well. I just saw that. Was it this week? The weeks go really, really quickly, but at the same time really slowly. So
yes,
and I think it's a fun reaction, because especially, of course, you can write in the chat, and potentially you could unmute and say, hey, I like that, but you don't do that. And it's nice to get the instant feedback from the presenter.
Well, and it's what we're used to, right? Social media, almost every social media platform has these emotions that you can respond with. And so being able to do that same thing in the workplace that you do in the personal life, I think businesses are starting to realize finally how important that is.
Yeah.
You don't have to, yes, you have to be, as we talked, I'm a potty mouth outside of work, but in work, I kind of try and keep that down, at least in public meetings. But like being able to carry that personal experience into the business world, I think lets people be themselves more, which is huge.
Yeah, I tweeted about that when I saw the live reactions in the meeting, and there were a lot of people saying, I want to have some negative emotions. I want a thumbs down and like a angry face. And I'm not sure. I think it should be joyful and fun. I don't want to be a presenter and then people are spamming me with an angry face. But but really fun, really fun. I think it was at least 5 people or so that said, oh, I'm too happy feelings. I want.
I wouldn't mind a rolled eyes. Like the rolled eyes is one that I think I would be good with. But I agree, like the anger face as a reaction. Yeah, you don't want that when you're presenting an 8-hour workshop and 3 hours in, someone decides to start spamming you with that anger face.
Well, hopefully that won't happen, but as soon as they roll that out, the first question from IT is going to be, how do we shut that off?
Yes.
Probably.
That is what I have found is interesting. There's a lot of great features in Teams and things that roll out, but almost as soon as anything does, somebody's asking to shut it off.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, people are scared with change, so.
So what other things do you see coming out on the roadmap that you're excited for?
Oh yeah, like I said when we started this conversation this morning, I had to take a look at the roadmap since it's hard to keep track of everything. You have your small favorite things that you keep track of, but there are a lot of things going on from Microsoft's side, and that is really exciting. And big tip for everybody to look at the Microsoft 365 roadmap to see what's happening if you haven't done that. And one of the fun things that I saw that they're releasing, hopefully before the summer, is video filters. So
I want my glamour filter.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like it's like TikTok or Instagram with the beautifying filter. But I know a lot of people are scared of using their video because they, I don't know, have a ugly hairdo or look tired. And that's never been me. I think I just love looking at my face. So I always have the camera on, even when no one else is. But I have to remember that people aren't always like me. So video filter is very, very exciting to see how they will do that. Did you use the snap camera that was cool in like March or something?
Yes.
No, it's interesting. I find that it's very much a organizational cultural thing. There's some organizations I'll join meetings with and people will have their camera on and I'm like, oh, wait, that's unusual because almost every other meeting I have, if I've got mine on, I'm about the only one. So, but I know my wife was excited because she was talking to one of her friends yesterday and they use Microsoft Teams. So, and she hadn't talked to her in a long time and she was like, oh, tell Craig I love Microsoft Teams. But she's like, what I really love is the background filter because I don't want to have to clean my house for every meeting. So that's an important one.
And that is so interesting because I thought about that when we joined a call, and as you can see, you have the background and I don't.
This is my normal room. What are you talking about?
And I don't know if that's like a cultural thing, but I don't find the background so common in Sweden. And okay, now I have a white background, so it's not like something weird, but sometimes I'm sitting in my bed, I don't have the background on, and I don't know, it's really, really interesting with that feature. Oh,
yeah, and I mean, I can turn mine off, but then that's just you just see.
Yeah. So Americans are weirdly private when it comes to what their space looks like.
You can see why I have mine off. I've got like a back screen. My daughters were drawn on. I got my closet open. I've got
I'm
clothes
shaming you to show your background. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's good, right? Like this is a mattress covered in a plastic sheet. It's yeah. Although I'm always proud to show off my Dallas Stars my hockey supporter scarves. So
looks nice.
Thank you. We're going back to that background now.
Yeah, I got that screen back there. If I turn it around, it's black. But that was like, I didn't want to show my entire room, so I would pull it really close and have it behind me, so I'd have a wall. And then they came out with backgrounds pretty soon later. So I was like just like 2 weeks after I got it, I was like, oh well, they could have saved me like $100. But
that is dedication.
Now, we talked about this during our early discussion, which is the fact that sometimes backgrounds don't quite work very well. And you can see as I pull my arms closer to my body, it thinks the gray part of my shirt is my shoulders. And then I have a very tiny body, which is weird for me because I'm 6'2", 350 pounds. I don't have a very tiny body in any world.
But that's how Jay loses 20 pounds instantly. He just goes, ah.
There we go.
I actually forgot that background effects, the feature isn't that old. It is quite new, but the past year was so long but short and so many things happened. So
Yeah.
Well, and then the ability to add your own was even shorter, right? Because originally they came out with just a couple, and then that was the first thing people was interesting how fast people were able to hack that and go into the folder. Even people who aren't technical could figure out, hey, if I just go into this folder and put a file there, I can find it, right? So I think that was out as soon as that. And then
I don't
Microsoft
know
said,
why everyone didn't think this was the best background for their work situation. Like, I just don't understand it.
I will be honest, I do a lot of workshops, and usually I started out with that one when I'm doing it. So
see, and I thought about poking fun at that one, but my wife's actually a teacher, and that would get me in a lot of trouble. So
I experimented some with OBS as well. That was also April or so, to have the moving backgrounds.
Yes.
Yeah, it's cool, but yeah, I'm more of a non-background kind of person. But this is my favorite.
If you put like the little spinning circles behind you to hypnotize people, that would be awesome.
Listen to the sound of my voice. Microsoft Teams is your favorite technology. The spinning circle. No, but you're right. The last year has seen just an amazing amount of enhancements to this platforms. Little things like disguising phone numbers of participants who dial in so that you don't see their full 10-digit number. You just see a couple of digits so you can identify a little bit. The location of the meeting bar, it used to float over the video and try to auto hide itself, and now they've moved it to the top. Like, they've really reacted to customer needs very quickly, which is, it's just mind-blowing, especially if you come from the SharePoint world, for example, the on-premises SharePoint world, where releases were every 2.5 to 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, you really, to see the number of changes that come with this platform as quickly as it comes, it just,
it's crazy. The full, what do we got? Went from 4 to 49 or 40. Yeah, 4 to 49 pictures, and then the gallery seating or large view, and the different types of settings they're doing with that.
And like a lot of hidden things as well, like the settings for a meeting. So now you can mute everyone from the beginning, so people can't unmute themselves. That's pretty new.
Yes.
Something that came out, I think it was last week or something, the possibility to turn off the chat or only have the chat during meetings. And like a lot of small great things that's just making our day-to-day life a lot better.
Yeah. It's also been interesting to see how the different industries affect the features. For example, the chat thing that you just described, I think that comes from the education space, because one of my wife's biggest pet peeves is when students start her class because they have a break. So they start her class 15-20 minutes before it actually starts. Or when they chat in the meeting after class is over, like it those kinds of features being driven by different markets, it's really an interesting kind of phenomenon to follow.
Yeah, to being able to end the chat so that you don't get messages, that was a big one. What did I see? That there's another feature with chat coming out, and I can't remember. Something with the transcript, because if you're not in the meeting, people could still see the transcript, so there's more protection coming for that.
Oh, yeah, maybe because I know there's coming some sort of meeting recap.
The meeting recap, yep. And there's actually there's a Power Platform flow or something that you can install on your tenant, which does a meeting recap that I recently saw. I'll try to put a link to it in the blog. But I know for my government customers, our Microsoft government focused team was just sharing about the fact that they could install this, and it provides like a recap of who attended. I think a link to the transcript, maybe the chat, things like that, just trying to pull all that together. It's really cool. The things that are coming out there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how the meeting recap actually looks. So that will be interesting.
Now, if I could just get it to tell me people who are paying attention, because I do a lot of webinars, and it's like you ask them like, can you raise your hand? Can you do something? Can you?
Yeah.
Can you let me know you're still alive?
Yeah.
I mean, we had that problem in person too, though, right? You got the big dark room and you can't see the audience, and you don't know if they're smiling at you or walking out of the room. It's actually a realistic experience, Craig.
Well, I did tell my customer that yesterday. He was like, so I had a bunch of people, but the one guy was like, I have a couple meetings, so I'm going to be in and out. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. He's like, you know, at least it's better than if we were in a classroom and then you just got up and walked out and I didn't have any idea. You know, it's like, oh, there goes Bob. He's apparently didn't like something I said. So, Amanda, anything else that you want to tell us about you, teams, what you like? Because I think we've been going for a little while now. We probably could start wrapping up.
I mean, it's a subject you can talk about forever. So what do I want to talk about? Yeah, maybe I can just talk a little about some of the projects I'm doing, since it's always fun to talk about the things you're doing. So I'm actually one of the organizers for a Swedish conference called the Teamsdagen, which translates to Teams Day. And we had our first conference with, I think we were 300 participants in March, like the day before the world shut down. So we joked about this will be the last live conference ever, and that's been a really interesting thing to turn a conference IRL to a virtual one. So we've been now we're having our third conference. It's called Studio Online, because we're actually having a big studio with sessions and experts and panels and stuff. So that's really fun. Really, I mean,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I've been missing people this year, but a great thing is that virtual events brings the possibility for a lot of more people to join and attend. So I like that. I'm trying to be optimistic, but hopefully we get to see each other soon in the world. But I don't know.
Agreed.
I'm skeptic. I think it will be next year, actually.
Yeah,
the way that
we're trying to plan like a spring break vacation, because it's been such a long year, and we've got this idea for what we want to do, which I can't say because I think my 8-year-old is eavesdropping. But but yeah, we're just like, we're sitting there. We won't pull the trigger because we're not sure. We're not sure if it's going to be safe enough to do that kind of travel yet. But that's
a lot of talk about that as well.
It will be interesting to see what a return to normal for the conference thing is. Will it? I mean, because we've done a couple of them. So I've been doing SharePoint Saturday Chicago since 2013 was the first one I did, and then we hosted M365 Chicago, which was virtual for the first time, and we had people from all over the world speaking and attending. So that was really cool. But then what are we going to do in the future? Not necessarily us, but, you know, is it going to be, because we had talked about doing maybe an on-premises type of in the Microsoft Center where we have just a select number of people there and then also stream it. So to be inclusive to both, or does it go back to like a conference? Like what is Ignite that they're going to have next month, I believe? That's going to be all virtual again, right? So the first couple days of March, and that might be an internal one. So I thought it's for everybody, but I've seen it. I don't know.
No, it is.
It's hard to be, but yeah. So Ignite's coming again. It's all virtual, but when will they go back to full conferences, and what will that look like? Because I do think everybody misses it and misses talking to people in person and having that personal connection that you just don't get over video.
Yeah.
A lot of exciting things going on forward, both in the world and in Microsoft Teams.
Yep. So, Amanda, if people are interested in learning more from you, if they've, liked this conversation, or at least your part of the conversation, they don't have to like our part. How else can they reach you? Do you have a blog? Do you speak at user groups? How can they find you?
Twitter handle?
I have a Twitter handle. I guess you can maybe add it in the description. It's my name, Amanda S. Sterner, and I have a blog, Amanda Sterner, and Then I have Teamsdagen, and I'm also part of the organizing crew for a newly started user group called ACM Teams Europe. So we had, I think it's 4 meets or so. So a lot of things going on in like globally. I'm meeting a lot of people, not just in Stockholm, but Sweden.
Like this.
Yeah, I mean, this is amazing, really fun to be able to catch up with new people. And I mean, Craig, as you said before, the Microsoft community is 10 out of 10. It's really good.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for being on our show. Jay, you want to wrap us up?
Yeah, Amanda, thank you for joining us. Craig, it's a pleasure as always. And for
you say that, you roll your eyes. I see that. You were going to use the rolling eye emoji on that. I know you. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
So for the 5 or 6 regular listeners we have, we'll see you again next week. And Amanda, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.